Heavens, I feel like I'm in Charlie Wonka's chocolate factory. Bring out the Oompa Loompa.
We've got Oompa Loompas, and then we got labs as well.
Now tell me, talking of which, I think it'd be fun. Of course, it would be fun if I took one. What should I take? Just to show the people, we'll demonstrate.
Well,
what could it do to the acid capitalist? Do you
Tiffany's
take one? Yeah.
Yeah, you could take one. That's 2.5 milligrams.
Genius. Maybe I need two.
How's the genius feel?
I just don't want to talk. So I'm going to be.
And there's Duke saying hello.
Oh, hello. This is Peter's dog. Very, very cute dog. So I'm going to go to a party after this.
Okay.
At the Grange Hotel. And I'm probably going to be speaking to beautiful women.
Yeah. You got some love coffee beans there. That's what you should be sharing with them.
But I've got no problem with my libido.
Who said you needed to have a problem?
I thought you said it was a libido enhancement.
Yeah, but you could share the love with them.
Oh, maybe they have
sometimes have a problem. Yeah, exactly. It's just think of it as like a little enhancement.
Which is the mood enhancer again?
Well, bliss is a mood enhancer, but love also is a mood enhancer as well. Love is not just about sex. Love just helps open up your heart.
Sex is a very, very small part of love.
Yeah.
Wow. It's another acid capitalist show. Hugh Hendry, former macro hedge fund manager of the Eclectica Fund. This week is different. I'm shaking it out. I've been warning you that this show is becoming more of a passion project. And we're about to put the acid into acid capitalism. I want to share these moments with you, with the fellow tribe members. And if I may, right at the beginning, thank everyone for the Substack and for the Patreon, for the privilege of having you with me. Much, much appreciated. Today follows hot on the heels of the Bloomberg Odd Lots podcast. If you haven't listened to it, I would encourage you to go out there. I think it's a banger. But the first thing I said today was, if you want to see the future, you got to get high. Now, what did I mean by that? Did I mean drop some acid and look at a spreadsheet? No, I was just saying there are many different paths in this preposterous exercise of trying and attempting to see the future. And I'm from the persuasion that it's okay to be creative. And actually, do you know what? It might actually help you see. The future's going to come at you in curves. It's going to come at you from the perpendicular. It ain't going to come logically in straight lines from your spreadsheet. So anyway, today, I'm really fascinated. I've been watching there are some listed sector cannabis stocks, and I've not been there. And thank goodness they've had a torrid time. But increasingly, I have this feeling. So one of the great setups in investment is to find a business opportunity where the government's not in front of you saying cease and desist. The government's behind you saying, go for it. We're the wind that's going to push you further. Elon Musk benefited from that, from the great subsidization and, of course, the great social will that we would shake up and try and make the planet less unhealthy. And so I'm coming at you with a discursive today about the state of the cannabis industry in the United States, and perhaps we'll touch upon later. And I have the great honor, after this very, very long introduction, but I've got Peter Barsoom.
Peter Barsoom.
Wow, I got it right. Wow. Who is founder or co-founder of 1906, and so again, I guess I've got to say, listen, we're this is not a stock shop. Peter's got a private company, and we're going to be talking about, is it a drug? Is it a treatment? Is it a medication? There's no endorsement except curiosity. I'm very curious about what's happening in society and the government's embrace. And I could think of no one better than Peter to speak to and to hear about his fabulous product and what he thinks is going on. So without further ado, Peter.
Well, what an introduction. Okay. Thank you, Hugh. So happy to be here in this great studio today and talking about cannabis and creativity and the future.
Yeah. So 1906 is the name of the company. Tell me about 1906. What happened in 1906?
Yeah. So 1906 was the last time that cannabis was fully legal in this country. That's when we mark the beginning of the prohibition of cannabis. And our name reminds us of a couple things. Number one, that there was a time period where cannabis was widely accessible and it was used as a medicine. It was available by doctors, and then 1906 is also a reminder of the 100+ years of prohibition that we have been enduring. So for us, it's the third part. It's a reminder of how much more work we need to do because there are still terrible injustices from the war on drugs. So I think it's our North Star.
And I was thinking because it's not like we just invented cannabis. Yeah, it's been around forever.
Yeah,
and society didn't go crazy like pre-prohibition. Like no one was like going mad.
No, I mean to the contrary. This was in the pharmacopoeia for centuries. It is one of the few plants that actually grows wild in all continents besides Antarctica. And by far, it is the most diverse plant in terms of its therapeutic benefits. Like what other substance do we have that in some cases helps you have energy and other times helps you get to sleep? So the wide diversity of uses that cannabis has is unprecedented.
No, because I was thinking about, the advent of alcohol, and especially in the UK and the rocket stories of the cheap gin, and people just went mad, and there was like not social disobedience, but it really was a big issue.
Yeah.
And like we think nothing of selling gin, and it certainly doesn't have all of these properties. I also understand that, but there was with 1906, was there something of a kind of like a racial thing as well with the Mexicans? Marijuana is a Mex. Was that a Mexican slight at the time, or like?
Yeah. I mean, much of the language that we use around cannabis is, rooted in also some of the racist, racist past. So marijuana was used in order to make it sound exotic and Mexican, and as another way to another way in which the war on drugs was really insidious.
And was the prohibition as well around those days? I'm sure I read, and I thought, wow, really? That it was also, there was a kind of pushback against immigration, like the Mexicans coming over, and it was like, let's have the prohibition and kind of push them back as well. And you think of like where we are, and trying to build walls and stuff like that. Like some stuff just doesn't go away. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the history of the drug war also, why did they include cannabis in the definition of the Schedule I drugs is so that they could specifically go after Black and brown communities under the Nixon era. Like there weren't that many people doing LSD or doing mushrooms or that wide in order to be able to wage a war on drugs, right? Wouldn't be much of a war. The only way to make it kind of the war and of such scale was to include cannabis in that.
Yeah. So tell me about the product then. You've got it with us. It has beautiful packaging.
Yeah. So the ethos kind of behind 1906 is the fact that many people are looking for alternatives to alcohol and pharmaceuticals and how we manage daily life. Anxiety, issues with focus, issues with libido, sleep, pain. This is all the human condition. There are days where you're sad. There are days where you're not focused. There are days where you might feel depressed. And sometimes it could be severe, or sometimes it could be acute. Sometimes it's chronic. And pharmaceuticals, in some cases, can be helpful, but in many cases haven't been helpful. And so we as a society are left with not as many tools that we'd want to have in order to be able to address times when I'm sad or I'm depressed or I'm not focused. And that's the gap that 1906 fills in, which is as an alternative to alcohol and pharmaceuticals, cannabis-based, but using other plant medicines in addition to cannabis. And we like to think of it as the fusion of science, because we have a pill, everything is scientifically engineered, with all of the benefits of nature because of the plant medicines and cannabis and the other things that we use. And frankly, this is the way in which medicine used to be practiced. Like if you went to go to a doctor and had an issue, you would get a tincture of multiple ingredients or supplements in there to aid you. This notion that, okay, you're feeling sad, here, take this one molecule and it's going to fix you or make you feel better, doesn't work in many cases. And then what ends up happening is, okay, so now I have issues with focus, so I take an Adderall. Great. Now I can't sleep at night, so I'm taking Ambien. I'm irritable sometimes or depressed, so now I'm taking Wellbutrin. And then you end up in this world of like polypharmacy where you're taking all of these different pharmaceuticals without it being well coordinated, let alone researched or studied. And so we've taken that that polypharmacy approach and just intentionally designed our experiences accordingly.
Wow. Okay. And so how many products have you got? This is the range, is it?
We have. This is So what we don't. I don't have sleep here, but we have. Go is for energy. Think of this as a replacement for your 5-hour energy drink or your Red Bull. And
nasty stuff.
Huh?
Nasty stuff.
Yeah. This is a much healthier alternative. And
I had a very bad experience with Red Bull.
What happened?
I was in Milan. I mean, it was on me, but I was in Milan, and I bought I remember it being a silver rubber Prada suit. Mm-hmm. Don't know why I bought it. And I went to the soccer derby between AC and Inter Milan, and then I used my hedge fund connections to go to nightclubs. And I remember waking up in the morning, embracing a pizza on my chest, and still wearing the rubber suit. And it was, Red Bull was kind of pink in color. I was drinking Red Bull and vodka. God almighty. And I left that suit behind. I think I left more. Actually, I actually returned with an epiphany, which was to buy gold. This was back in 2002. So actually, there was a golden legacy. But when everyone mentions the Red Bull, I'm like, oh, boom.
Interesting. You associate it with that and not with the buying of gold. So now you got to switch your association, a new imprint that you need with Red Bull.
Yeah.
This is not a commercial for Red Bull, by the
way. I would much rather take this stuff than Red Bull.
Yes,
And so, and one of the things I'm unsure about, so across these treatments or whatever
experiences,
the commonality is the cannabis.
Yep.
And does it come? What it does in each is the same, but it's modified by the balance and what you're adding to it.
Yeah,
is that correct?
That's right. So cannabis is like the platform, and then we incorporate other plant medicines within each one, and that's what gives it cannabis plus. So we like to think of it as this is the world's first smart cannabis.
Okay, well done. Like I'd like to think of myself as the world's first smart podcaster. So we it was Go.
Go, yeah, we were talking about Go.
And so what's the additional? What are you adding there?
So when people are looking for something for energy, caffeine is the most commonly used.
Caffeine's good.
Caffeine is good.
Good.
Yeah.
And is it true? I'm sure you know this. I only recently came to understand this. It's like a superfood and has really beneficial impact for your brain. Yeah. But if you mix it, I don't know why, but if you mix it with milk, as everyone does, your cappuccino, you lose all or just about all of the potency and the good effect on the mind.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I read an interview with a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
I'm just not smart enough to remember
why.
Interesting. But it was complicated. But yeah.
I mean, so caffeine is the most universally used drug in the world. And if you think about something for stimulation, that it works. The issue is that caffeine also gives you the jitters, gives you an accelerated heart rate, and then you experience the crash. So those are some of the negative side effects of caffeine. And what we do is we combine caffeine then with other substances that mitigate those. So L-theanine to eliminate the jitters, theobromine to increase blood flow so you don't feel so amped.
I'm unfamiliar with these names you're mentioning.
These are other plant medicines.
The plant medicines.
Yeah. Oh. These are other dietary supplements that, well researched. And when incorporated with caffeine now, you get a much better energy experience. So everybody says that, or not everybody, but a lot of people say that they'll run a 6K in their 5K time and feel even better, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but it's not sport enhancement, but it's like you're feeling,
people use this as a sports enhancement, like, so cyclists, we actually have a huge following of athletes.
Really?
This is one of the best pre-workout stacks that people say. And you often don't think of really cannabis before a workout or cannabis, but it works when combined with these other elements in it.
No. Heavens, I feel like I'm in Charlie Wonka's chocolate factory. Bring out the Oompa Loompa.
We've got Oompa Loompas and then we got labs as well.
Now tell me, talking of which, I think it'd be fun, of course it would be fun, if I took one, what should I take? Just to show the people, we'll demonstrate. Well, what could it do to the acid capitalist?
I mean, can you get smarter? I mean, is that, should you take a genius or are you already beyond...
Well, I think I guess I haven't told the folks at home, but before we set this up to like an hour ago, I got my first major tattoo. Well, a bit of a secret there, and I got it. It says the acid capitalist.
Are you going to show us, or are you just going to talk about it?
So it's not that it's tender, but it's got a plaster thing. I look like a burn victim sort of thing, But it says the acid capitalist.
It looks beautiful.
Like ... I don't know if it's beautiful. But I tell you what was beautiful, that I thought it'd be painful.
Yeah.
And it was blissful. I could almost not summon the energy to... I could have lain there all day and I'd have woken up completely covered in tattoos. But I know you got bliss. I think I'm blissed out. It really in a stone. I guess it's like acupuncture. And it must do something to the central nervous system. I've never been so flooded. I'm really...
Did they tell? Does it happen to other people?
Yeah, they said it does. And then the girl, I mean, I went to one of those top tattoo studios. If you're going to get something permanent, you may as well go to the best. And she had all the girls say that, but she had a gentle touch. And she really did. So yeah, no, bliss... We'll come to bliss, and I'm intrigued about that as well. But so bliss, we've got goal, we've got genius.
Yep. We have love.
Love. I'm seeking a lot of love, but maybe later. So what would you're Charlie in the chocolate? You're Charlie Wonka.
Let's do the genius, because you're feeling so blissful now. You could take it another level. I find also the combinations. So here, this is genius.
Wonderful.
Bliss and genius can be great as a creative brainstorming session. So yeah,
okay, it sounds like
probably open at the bottom. There we go.
Here.
And because you mentioned creativity. Creativity.
Do you take one? Yeah.
Yeah, you could take one. That's 2.5 milligrams. What makes you creative?
That's a damn good question. What makes me creative? What is it they say? I was born like that, or the girls on Tinder say I'm still figuring it out. I had a Tinder conversation today. Now listen to me. I'm like, I'm going off on one, and I'm like, honey, you're a bot. I have no one writes like that. And so I went on to ChatGPT. I was like, okay, what is the best question to kind of identify, the bots? And it's all about, empathy and like, hey, tell me about your most memorable childhood experience, or like, tell me when you first felt in love. And it just goes, and then it got really angry with itself, and it started sending me lots and lots of messages. I'm like, you are either a very precious, beautiful lady, and she looked quite hot, or you're just the worst bot ever. And why am I talking about that? That's the bliss. Genius. Maybe I need two So tell me
so creativity. You were going to say about creativity.
Creativity. Do you know?
Or let me ask it differently. There are moments where you haven't felt creative.
Yeah. Increasingly, I'm definitely not creative in the morning.
Yeah.
It's taken me a long time. I'm very creative in the afternoon these days. But do you know, I came up the Scottish education system. You are thrust upon the world at an earlier age. So I was an investment analyst at really the tender age of 21. And I was responsible in managing significant sums of money from the age of 24. And I had typically excelled. I came from a project kind of thing, and I was something of a social experiment with an investment management group. And I was an abject failure. And I was there for 8 years, and I was crushed. It didn't work. And I was classified as a troublemaker. I had this weird thing where I had a sense of either foreboding or good things. People always think I'm just like pessimistic. I can assure you it's not true. But I saw things, and things in the future are contentious because there's a huge investiture in now. And that's where the kind of me being this kind of troublemaker came, because I was asking people to step aside, take the position off, or buy it. And I could see this steam train coming closer and closer. And as it got closer, I became really animated. I was like, please, you guys are crazy. And so that was miserable. And I moved to London and met an extraordinary person. And what was happening was I was being taught many wonderful, again, left side of left hemisphere, logical progressions, and they were trying to conceive and understand and try and tame the future by looking backwards. And that didn't work with my right hemisphere. And then when I got someone to help me with that, boom, the rest is history. And I got a license to be creative. And to that line, I'm going to shut up again. These things are really good.
They are fast acting.
The three most important words, I remember having lunch with my mentor, and he said, it's all about being mischievous. So I think the direct and the short answer, learning the power of being mischievous, being playful, and being curious. And they're a holy trinity. They come as a package, probably come in a packet like this. And I got that from around the age of 30, and I was really encouraged to push the boat out.
I've never heard that trinity: mischievous,
playfulness, and curiosity.
Yeah.
Can you make me a pill that does that?
We'll
come back to me. Give me a call.
We'll come back. We'll come back to you on that.
Yeah. So tell me the genius. What's the secret? Not secret ingredient, but what's the supplements coming in there?
Yeah. So what's interesting about genius is that people have been using cannabis to tap into creativity since time immemorial, right?
Who were the first adopters? Or is it predominantly South American plant?
No, I mean, the first, I think the first records of it that we have are I think Mesopotamia region. I could be
That's
wrong
Africa.
here. No, that is like the Levant area, Iraq, Iran, that whole that whole area. So I could be wrong, but it goes.
This may
back
explain why
so
Persia is such a nice culture. They're typically very nice people, unless they're whatever. But
a lot. They've got a lot of.
They're always ambassadors and stuff. They're always the most entertaining people at kind of high class cocktail parties. But, so there's records.
So people have been using cannabis for creativity forever, right? Artists, musicians, and when we think about it, also is that we've been using other substances to help us become more creative and more focused from caffeine. So what we did with Genius is recognize that issues of focus are endemic to us as humans. There are times we can be focused and times that we're unfocused. And my history was I was diagnosed with ADD. I was on Ritalin and Adderall for 20 plus years. And while those worked for me, they left me irritable. They also really negatively impacted my libido. And generally, I didn't like being tied to Adderall or Ritalin on a daily basis, and didn't like the big swings. So Genius was created to be as a supplement or to supplant Adderall and Ritalin for those people like me who've got trouble focusing but don't want something that is that
Have you been
has
able to
those
switch
negative-
away from?
Yeah, off.
And so you would exclusively take this, or you take it with something else? Or?
No, I use Genius on a daily basis. 2.5 milligrams. It is
My God,
an
I've
ideal
just taken
dose.
5, but you
It's a
take
little-
2.5 for the day. You take 2.5 for the day.
Yeah, that's
I've just
kind of
taken 5 for the podcast.
Yeah, you're going to be even smarter than than we can anticipate. So Genius is a new way for people to experiment with cannabis.
So what have you added to it? What have you added to it on top of the?
So that's got rhodiola and bacopa are two of the main ingredients that are in there, plus a stack of caffeine, L-theanine, theobromine, and alpine-galanga. So, and the way it generally works is that typically when we're in a focused position, that creates excess stress and cortisol. So the rhodiola helps reduce your stress and cortisol level, which allows you then to be in a focused state for extended duration. Bacopa is great for enhancing memory, cognitive tasks, and then the blend of caffeine, L-theanine, and theobromine at that precise dose of 20 milligrams of caffeine is kind of the ideal for mental clarity. Yeah.
And what happens if you take coffee with it? Does that accentuate or?
Yeah, depends upon how sensitive you are to caffeine. Like there are some people.
Does it make you more sensitive to caffeine? I guess I'm asking.
It doesn't make you more sensitive to caffeine. There's only 20 milligrams of caffeine in there, which is about a third a cup of a coffee. So not a lot of caffeine there. Yeah. But
I don't find I get irritable when I drink. I do drink lots of coffee, but maybe I might have to ask other people how irritable I am. I never know. But
how much coffee do you drink?
Well, only in the morning.
Yeah.
But
Have you tried matcha? I'm a big matcha fan, so
yeah, I've tried that. I'm in a French island. I've now had the clarity to take out the pain au chocolats. I'm now on that just protein diet.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Again, talk about clarity, and you talk about not eating foods which introduce the releases of insulin.
Yeah.
And just mess you up, and again that attacks your mental focus.
Yeah,
I have so much me. Anyway, so work in progress for me, and we've done the what do you call it? Go,
yeah. And we did Genius,
and so blissfulness is so you've got two, haven't you? I was curious. You got one which is blissfulness and one which is joy.
No, they're both called Bliss.
They're both called. So you got two products called Bliss 1, Bliss 2?
No, I mean, sorry, we have our 2 milligram product, which is what's available online. It's only one product called Bliss, just in different dosages.
And which one is Bliss? Is that the orange one?
This is Bliss. This is the orange one.
Right.
It's kind of like the Clicquot color.
What's it? Yeah, it's kind of train-spotting color. And what are we trying to do with Bliss? This is anxiety or?
No, this is mental boost. This is like depression. So our Bliss is like, we call it nature's antidepressant. And the way Bliss works is that the main active ingredient in Bliss is a plant from South Africa called Scaletium tortuosum. Scaletium tortuosum is native to South Africa, and it is the closest thing that you can get to MDMA or to Molly.
Really?
in a legal. Yeah. So pharmacologically, it works very similar to MDMA or Molly in terms of boosting your serotonin 2A system. And it gives you that overwhelming feeling of like the world is a happy place. It improves your tactile experience. It reduces your social inhibition. And you feel like, we call it the permagrin experience.
But is it a bit like, what do I want to say, resveratrol, which comes from... It comes from a red grape, and then a while back they were like, "This is again, it's such a superfood," but you'd have, and it's wine, and so the joke was like, drinking wine is healthy for you.
Yeah,
and without caveat, yes, but actually the caveat is you'd have to drink 1 million liters of red wine or whatever in a year. I'm trying, but certainly with tequila. But is that the same? Because the Molly and the MDMA are laboratory-based chemicals, the pure whatever. Would you have to take, and I think I can now understand, because you're crushing it on the name of these plants. And these are complicated names, and you've got them right off. But would you have to take like enormous proportions of the plant-based proxies to the chemicals?
So you're never going to get like the full MDMA experience, because that is just so incredibly powerful. And by the way, if you could, the DEA would ban it.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be real. So Scalitium or our Bliss is the closest thing. So if you take 2-3 of the Bliss, it's not going to be like a full-on MDMA rave experience, but it's gonna be the closest thing that you can get to that in a legal high. Yeah.
So 2 or 3 would be like, you'd be up at 6 milligrams or so, yeah?
That would be depending upon if it's online, it's 2 milligrams. So that would be 6 milligrams for the ones that's in dispensary. That would be 15 milligrams of THC. And then the Scalitium though is what's powering that and making you feel that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Very, very cool.
No. Okay, so what else?
Oh, should we talk about sex or hold on to
sex.
that?
Oh no, it's zoom time. It's the evil acid capitalist time. Friends, family, thank you for watching the first half an hour. I'm afraid the rest is behind the evil paywall. It's exclusively for the lovely folks on Patreon and Substack. We do hope you can find us on the other side. We really hope we whetted your appetite. Peace and love from St. Bart's, from the Acid Capitalist.